Black qi lingered over the large gate. Lindong sat down. His eyes were filled with ridicule as he observed Hun Yuantian in front of him, whose eyes had turned blood red almost immediately. If this fellow had come and fight him after trapping him in the deathly silence gate, it might be possible to suppress Xiao Yan a little. However, this person ended up being too arrogant and chose to ignore Xiao Yan, thinking that the death qi within deathly silence gate was sufficient to gradually weaken Xiao Yan. Who could have expected that the death qi was not only unable to block the purifying demonic lotus flame, but even the soul stone he hid within the deathly silence gate had been found by Xiao Yan. The spiritual stone could be considered to be the most important thing within the deathly silence gate. Hun Yuantian had also hid it extremely well. However, he had forgotten that Xiao Yan, whose soul had stepped into the D state, only needed to think about it in order to probe every part of the entire deathly silence gate. Regardless of how well the spiritual stone was hidden, it would appear in front of Xiao Yan's probing. With the spiritual stone being found, and that Xiao Yan's spiritual strength greatly surpassed Hun Yuantian, removing the spiritual imprint on the stone was an extremely simple matter. This was also considered a weakness of the deathly silence gate. However, how many people in this world could reach the D-state soul? This had led to Hun Yuantian making quite a foolish mistake. It was also precisely because of this mistake that had resulted in him losing control of the deathly silence gate. Xiao Yan, I will tear you into thousands of pieces. Hun Yuantian clenched his teeth. Both of his arms were suddenly lifted. Black vapor crazily gathered in his palms and a terrible smell, which caused one's soul to feel a piercing pain, spread rapidly. Humph! Xiao Yan snorted coldly after seeing this scene. He suddenly stood up. His hand seals changed. A 10,000 feet large illusory figure immediately appeared outside of Xiao Yan's body. A shockingly large wave-like spiritual fluctuation began to swept wildly apart. Yellow Spring Divine Anger. When the Yellow Spring Divine Anger was unleashed by the current Xiao Yan, the enormous figure that appeared no longer seemed illusory. This was because the huge figure was presently filled with rippling light. The originally illusory figure had become a lot more real. At a glance, it appeared like a giant standing between the earth and the sky. A kind of spiritual overlord aura suddenly spread over the battleground. The experts from both parties, who had been exposed to this aura, mostly withdrew hurriedly in shock. Under that pressure, they could feel an impulse to kneel down. This impulse originated from within their souls. Mao! The 10,000 feet figure appeared in the clouds. The giant opened its mouth. Immediately, the entire place became completely quiet. Only a seemingly real spiritual sonic wave attack was emitted from the mouth of the giant. Finally, it heavily smashed onto the stunned Hun Yuantian at a speed faster than that of light. Grug! Hun Yuantian did not have any time to put up a defense. He had only just recovered his thoughts when blood flowed out from his ears from the attack. Soon after, a cannonball-like assault ruthlessly exploded on his body. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. His face was as pale as sheet while his soul had suffered a severe damage. The spiritual sonic wave shook Hun Yuantian. Many Hun clan's experts had also been sent flying along the way. Some of the weaker individuals had their souls being shattered by the shock. A D-state soul was this terrifying. The area in the sky where the spiritual attack had passed had basically become empty. That originally chaotic battleground had also paused for a moment. The eyes of both parties had a rich horror when looking at the giant standing in the sky. The black cloud, which permeated the sky, had also churned intensely at this moment. There was a rich, deathly aura vaguely spreading from it. Boom! 3 vast and mighty auras suddenly collided violently at a certain spot in the sky. A violent explosion occurred. Black flames shot out while two figures flew backwards in a somewhat miserable fashion. Only after the two figures stabilized their bodies did everyone realize that they were Lei Ying and Yan Jin. Clearly, their opponent was the nihility-devouring flame. From the looks of it, however, even with their combined strength, they were unable to gain an upper hand against the nihility-devouring flame. A 9-star Do Sheng really did live up to its reputation. Moreover, the fighting strength of the nihility-devouring flame was not something that an ordinary 9-star Do Sheng could reckon with. The terrifying devouring power was sufficient to defeat any opponent of the same level. Lei Ying and Yan Jin calmed their churning blood. Their expressions were grave. The both of them had used all of their techniques, yet they were unable to obtain the upper hand. If this continued, they might really end up showing traces of defeat. The battle is in a stalemate. The strength of the Hun clan is indeed far greater than what we understand. Lei Ying's eyes swiftly swept over the place while he had the time and saw that many experts of the Lei clan had perished. Although he felt a heartache, there was nothing he could do. This was the cruel reality of a war. Yan Jin nodded slightly. From the looks of the current situation, this would definitely be a big, miserable war. However, no matter the price, they must snatch the ancient jade back. This was because they understood that once the Hun clan opens the Tushi ancient god mansion and obtain the secret to advance into the Do D class from within, just Hun Tiandi alone would be able to eliminate all the three clans. At that time, they would truly be faced with the danger of their clan being exterminated. We cannot give up. The two of them exchanged glances and saw ruthlessness from both parties' eyes. Regardless of how miserable the fight was, they were currently still possessing a numerical advantage. The Hun clan had prepared for hundreds or thousands of years in order to gather the ancient jades. Isn't your thoughts a little simple if you think that you can stop our plans so easily? The nihility-devouring flame stepped on the air and laughed coldly as he once again appeared in front of them. A chill flashed over Lei Ying and Yan Jin's face. They were about to attack when a somewhat hurried voice suddenly sounded from beside their ears. "Quick scatter. Something is wrong." The sudden voice caused the both of them to be startled. Their expressions changed drastically. This was because they could hear that the voice belonged to Gu Yuan. Just what was it that made him so anxious? Buzz. A strange buzzing sound was suddenly emitted from the black cloud that covered the sky while the both of them had a change in expression. Waves after waves of dark and cold aura spread rapidly. Are they finally ready? The nihility-devouring flame lifted their heads after he heard the buzzing sound. His heart sighed in relief. The three clans and the Sky Mansion Alliance did indeed surpass the Hun clan in terms of the number of experts. If they did not take any action, it was likely that many experts from the Hun clan would end up dying here. Buzz buzz. The buzzing sound became increasingly hurried. At the same time, a couple of indescribable dark and stern auras slowly appeared from the black cloud. Everyone on the battlefield lifted their heads in the face of this unexpected occurrence. Their uncertain and cautious eyes looked at the black cloud. Boom boom. Black cloud suddenly churned and a couple of black figures shot out. All of them were suspended at various spots in the sky. That is coffins? Everyone looked at the things that had been shot out from the black fog. They were immediately startled. This was because the things were three black coffins. The dark and densely cold aura was something that seeped out from the coffins. Bang! The three black coffins were suspended in the air. Their covers flew out and three skeleton-like skinny figures slowly stepped out from within. Immediately, three auras, which were even more frightening than Hun Yuantian earlier, erupted from the sky. It caused the expressions of the alliance to change drastically. Hun Dayansheng. Hun Yao. How can all these old ghosts be still alive? Lei Ying's and Yan Jin's eyes suddenly shrunk as they looked at the three figures. Their faces were filled with shock. These three people were even older than Hun Tiandi. Back then, they had already gradually declined and died. Yet, how was it possible for them to appear again today? Hiss! Xiao Yan, who was seated on the huge black door, had inhaled a breath of cool air because of this scene. Another 3 8-star doshings? Moreover, the auras of these three were similar to Laying Duo. That not right. The auras of these people aren't quite right. Xiao Yan's current senses were extremely sharp. He had immediately detected that something was wrong. He could sense a deathly aura that was many times denser than that of Hun Yuantian. These three seems like zombies? The corner of Xiao Yan's eyes twitched rapidly as he muttered. A zombie was in existence like a puppet. However, it was at a higher level as compared to puppets. This was because it required one to use a certain mysterious method to revive some of those who had already died. However, the requirements for the revival was extremely harsh. Additionally, the chance of success was low. Hence, there was usually no one who did such a thing. After all, a true expert would be guarded by the clan or sect after their deaths. No one would wish that the body of their ancestors would be ruined by others after their deaths. Clearly, the Hun clan had used some unknown technique to turn these originally dead experts from the Hun clan into zombies. In this way, these zombies could once again fight for them. Was this the strength that the Hun clan hid? If Hun Yuantian was included, there would be a total of 4 8-star doshings. This strength could easily shift the equilibrium of the war in the favor of the Hun clan. 4 silence destruction, deathly world. The mouths of the three figures in the sky were suddenly widened. 3 light spots flew out, after which they were transformed into 3 10,000 feet large giant black doors. The huge doors were filled with deathly aura. They were surprisingly another 3 deathly silence gates. The black giant doors stood at 3 spots in the sky. Deathly auras surged out from them and enveloped the entire place. Under the erosion of the deathly aura, all the experts from the Alliance were stunned to find that the life within their bodies was gradually being lost. The 3 large gates had formed a formation that enveloped the entire Alliance army inside it. From the looks of it, they were actually planning to use this to severely damage the Alliance army. Withdraw. Lei Ying's and Yin Jin's expressions changed drastically at this moment. Clearly, they had also recognized this formation, which had an extremely ferocious reputation during the ancient times. They quickly cried out loud. Hun Yuantian, return to the formation. Use the deathly silence gate and complete the formation. A skinny elder from amongst the trio cried out sternly after seeing the Alliance army retreat. Quick, scatter. Lei Ying's and Yin Jin's heart pounded intensely after hearing the old man's cry. If the formation was completed, it was likely that their losses today would be extremely great. Swoosh! The miserable Hun Yuantian swiftly flew into the sky. He looked at the trio while his expression was furious and pale. A moment later, he spoke in a hoarse voice. The deathly silence gate had been snatched by that brat Xiao Yan. The deathly silence gate had been stolen? The 3 skinny old men's expression became extremely gloomy after hearing Hun Yuantian's words. One of them involuntarily chided, Hun Yuantian, we have prepared for so many years in order to form 4 deathly silence gate. Yet, you have actually lost one of them in such a short amount of time? Hun Yuantian's expression was volatile. His heart was also filled with fury. He did not expect just a small misjudgment on his part had actually given Xiao Yan an opportunity. The formation that they had currently formed was a great formation that was renowned throughout the continent for its ferocity. Only by creating 4 deathly silence gate would it be possible to create a deathly world. Those experts who were trapped inside it would completely be enveloped by the endless deathly aura and gradually die. This was even if they were 7 or 8-star elite doshings. If this formation was successfully activated, it would definitely be able to cause the Alliance army to suffer a terrible loss. However, no one had expected that something like this would appear at this critical moment. That brat has actually reached the D-state soul. I did not expect that he is able to swiftly find the spiritual stone that I have hidden within the deathly silence gate and eliminate the spiritual imprint on it. Hun Yuantian clenched his teeth and spoke with great unwillingness. What should we do? There is not much life force remaining in our bodies. After this attack, all the life force remaining in us would be completely exhausted. We will at least need to rest for quite a long period of time in order to be able to attack again. If another big war breaks out during this period of time, we will not be able to intervene. A skinny old man furiously glared at Hun Yuantian before turning to the other two and said, "The price has already been paid. Naturally, we cannot simply let our effort be wasted. We will unleash the formation and try to seriously damage the Alliance army. As long as our Hun clan learns of the location of the Shi ancient god mansion and open it, the clan head will be able to advance into the legendary Do D class. At that time, it would not be difficult if he wished to truly revive us." A grayish dark-faced skinny elder spoke in a dense voice as his eyes flashed. "Aye." The other two nodded upon hearing this. This was all they could do now that things had developed until this stage. "Hun Yuantian, why aren't you taking your position? If I had known this would happen, I should not have allowed you to intervene earlier and try to rescue Hun Feng. Now, not only did you not manage to rescue him, but you have ended up delaying the big plans of our clan. If it is not because you are also a veteran of our Hun clan, I would have already killed you by now." The old man with a dark grayish face turned his head and sternly spoke to Hun Yuantian. Hun Yuantian seemed to have understood that he had really gotten into a big mess this time around. Hence, he did not say anything despite his ugly expression. All he could do was to turn around. His body flashed, and he appeared at one side of the sky. Dense, deathly aura erupted from his palm, after which it connected with the 3 deathly silence gate. Immediately, a dark world had wrapped the entire mountain range inside it. The deathly aura eroded all life within it. "Xiao Yan, once I capture you, I will definitely make you suffer a fate where you can neither beg to live nor die." A monstrous deathly aura surged out from within Hun Yuantian's body. His face also revealed a cruel and savage expression. The Alliance army gathered together as the monstrous deathly aura spread. Their eyes were cautiously looking at the black chi around them. They could sense that those deathly aura were seeping into his body from every pore. This kind of invasion was not something that they could block by using their Do Chi or spiritual strength. This is the legendary Death World formation. It is unexpected that the Hun clan is even able to use this. Lei Ying, Yin Jin, and the many experts from the ancient clans had dark and solemn expressions as they looked at the deathly aura spreading around them. Their hearts involuntarily felt an unease. Even if they, as the top experts, were able to resist this aura, those weaker individuals would suffer great damage if this continued. The terrible loss was not something that they could afford. "We must quickly charge through." The black submerged king, Gu Lei, spoke with a grave expression. He had been held back by 2 experts from the Hun clan, who had reached the 7-star Doshun class earlier. The big battle that erupted could be considered earth-shaking. Gu Lei had never even heard of those 3 experts from the Hun clan, who could match the 4 demon saints before. Clearly, the Hun clan had been hiding their strength during all these years. Such a strength was far greater than the Gu clan. If it was not because they were allied with the Yin clan, Lei clan, and the Sky Mansion Alliance, just the strength of the Gu clan alone would likely have difficulty fighting the Hun clan. This is difficult. A death realm had already been built over this place. Moreover, these deathly aura can isolate any spiritual probe. If we randomly charge around, it would only lead to the swift exhaustion of our strength. Yin Jin spoke in a deep voice. However, we will also most likely end up dead if we continue to remain here. Gu Dao from the three immortals of the Gu clan spoke with a bitter smile. Currently, they were in a dilemma. Clan head Gu Yuan has likely been held back by Hun Tiandi. It would likely be extremely difficult for him to intervene. Fairy Hualing from the Yin clan had an extremely grave expression on her enchanting face. Her aura was also slightly sluggish. Clearly, she had been injured during the big battle from earlier. Everyone became a little quiet. No one had expected that this somewhat favorable situation would suddenly turn into this state. Kiki. A slight rushing wind sound suddenly appeared from within the deathly aura, permeating the sky while everyone was at a loss as to what to do. Many black spears containing rich deathly auras shot from around them. This sudden attack caused the Alliance army to panic a little. There was a dense deathly aura on those black spears. Hence, even their Do-Chi defense was unable to be of much use. The black spears penetrated through some of the Alliance experts. In the blink of an eye, their bodies collapsed and turned into a pile of rotten bones. Traces of black vapor seeped out from within the bones. Damn it! Lei Ying and the others had gloomy faces after seeing that the Alliance was in such a disadvantageous position. They were prepared to forcefully charge out of this death world when the deathly aura in front of them suddenly moved. Immediately, a huge black door appeared in a flash. "Do not attack, it's me." The Alliance army was greatly startled after they saw something exactly the same as the three giant gates from earlier. However, a familiar voice was emitted from the huge gate before they could unleash their attacks. Xiao Yan. Lei Ying and the others rejoiced upon hearing this voice. They looked towards the top of the giant black gate. There was a young figure there. It was surprisingly Xiao Yan. "Follow me. This death world might be mysterious, but I have managed to snatch one of the deathly silence gate they used to build the formation. Hence, this formation is incomplete. We can charge out from the weakest part of the formation." Xiao Yan looked down at the many experts from the Alliance army and spoke in a deep voice. A joy quickly appeared on everyone's face after they heard this. However, they were in an emergency situation and there was little time for them to pose questions. Lei Ying waved his hand and the large group of experts hurriedly rose into the air. "Let's go." Xiao Yan let out a deep cry. He quickly flicked his finger and the huge, deathly silence gate below flew out. It covered the area above the army. Waves of suction force erupted. The deathly aura around was completely absorbed by it. The Alliance army quickly felt that the pressure on them had greatly diminished after the deathly aura ceased eroding them. The slowly circulating Do-Chi in their bodies was also quickly recovered. This little fellow is really skilled. He is even able to snatch this deathly silence gate. Lei Ying, Yin Jin, Gu Lei, and the others greatly rejoiced upon seeing this scene. It was fortunate that Xiao Yan had snatched one of the deathly silence gate. Otherwise, once the formation had truly become perfect, the Alliance army would definitely suffer an extremely serious blow. It should be known that during the ancient times, there had been many rumors of various sects and factions which were totally eliminated by this ultimate formation. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The experts from the Hun clan seemed to have detected something as the army quickly flew towards one side of the death world. The deathly aura around the place surged, after which it was transformed into a 10,000 feet large giant hand of death which ruthlessly slammed towards the Alliance army. Xiao Yan's body flashed and appeared in the sky. Little Yi also appeared on his shoulder. Due to Xiao Yan's soul having stepped into the D state, Little Yi's aura had also become relatively terrifying. Its current self was likely many times more powerful than the purifying demonic lotus flame back then at the demonic flame realm. Who? Little Yi spat through its mouth after it appeared. Purifying demonic lotus flame shot out in all directions. Finally, it collided ruthlessly with the giant hand of death. Immediately, a sizzling sound appeared throughout the sky. A dense rotten smell also spread. Mao! Xiao Yan's hands quickly formed a seal while little E was holding back the giant hand. A 10,000 feet large figure once again appeared on the surface of his body. Its mouth was opened, and an earth-shaking spiritual sonic wave swept wildly across the place like a storm. The deathly aura permeating the air was scattered slightly in the face of this spiritual sonic wave attack, after which a somewhat dim, formless barrier appeared a short distance in front of the Alliance army. There seemed to be a figure floating behind the barrier. If one was to look carefully, it was surprisingly Hun Yuantian. Clan head Lei Ying and Yin Jin attack together and break this space. Xiao Yan immediately cried out coldly as he looked at the figure. Lei Ying and the others quickly nodded upon hearing Xiao Yan's cry. Doqi immediately surged across the sky. A couple of terrifying attacks were immediately unleashed. Finally, they ruthlessly smashed onto the barrier in front of Hun Yuantian's altered expression.
Bang!
The formless barrier trembled in the face of the violent attacks by a couple of top-level experts. Finally, it could not endure the burden and emitted a crack sound. Finally, it exploded apart with a loud and clear sound. The deathly aura around the place quickly scattered with the shattering of the formless barrier. Warm sunlight once again poured down from the sky. Grug! The faces of the three other skinny elders in the sky paled the moment the death world was shattered. Blood was spat out from their mouths. A dense dimness rose in their eyes. They understood that the plan to seriously damage the Alliance today had failed,